The rain hammered against the bulletproof windows of the federal building like accusations. Officer Aaliyah Grant stood in the briefing room, arms crossed, jaw tight, watching her captain pace back and forth like a caged animal. Behind him, projected on the white wall, was a face she'd been chasing for 3 years. Dominic Moretti.
Dead now.
Heart attack. Age 67. Good riddance, muttered Detective Barnes from the back row. Aaliyah said nothing. She'd learned early in her career that celebrating death, even the death of monsters, hollowed you out, made you forget why you carried the badge in the first place. Captain Torres stopped pacing. Dominic's dead. But his empire isn't. He clicked the remote. A new face appeared. Kevin Moretti, 32. Dark hair. Sharp jawline. Eyes that looked too intelligent for the life he'd been born into. Medical degree from Johns Hopkins. Residency in neurosurgery cut short 6 months ago when his father's health started failing. This is our new problem, Torres said. Kevin took over the family 3 weeks ago. And, according to our intel, he's not like his father. He's smarter, cleaner, more dangerous. Aaliyah leaned forward, studying the photograph. Kevin Moretti didn't look like a gangster. He looked like someone who'd save your life in an operating room. That made him more terrifying than any street thug with a gun. "What's the play?" she asked. Torres looked directly at her. "You are." The apartment was quiet when Aaliyah got home at midnight. She kicked off her boots by the door, hung her service weapon in the locked cabinet, and tiptoed down the hallway. Her daughter's bedroom door was cracked open, yellow nightlight spilling into the corridor. Maya, 7 years old, obsessed with dinosaurs and convinced her mother was a superhero. Aaliyah pushed the door open gently. Her daughter was sprawled across the bed, one arm wrapped around a stuffed triceratops, dark curls fanned across the pillow. The babysitter, Mrs. Chen, was asleep in the rocking chair, glasses crooked on her nose. Aaliyah touched the older woman's shoulder. Mrs. Chen startled awake, then smiled. "Long night," she whispered. "They're all long nights." Mrs. Chen gathered her things. She asked about her father again. Aaliyah's chest tightened. "What did you tell her?" "Same thing you told me to say. That he's not around, but he loves her very much."
Lies.
Marcus didn't love anyone but himself. That's why he'd vanished the moment Aaliyah's pregnancy test came back positive. Sent her divorce papers from another state. Never looked back. "Thank you, Mrs. Chen." After the babysitter left, Aaliyah sat on the edge of Maya's bed, smoothing her daughter's hair back from her forehead. The girl stirred. "Mommy, I'm here, baby. Did you catch the bad guys?" Aaliyah smiled despite the weight pressing against her ribs. "Working on it. You always catch them." Maya's voice was sleepy, certain. "You're the best. If only it were that simple." Aaliyah kissed her daughter's forehead and retreated to her own room. She changed into sweatpants and an old Police Academy t-shirt, then sat at her desk. Opened her laptop. Pulled up everything the Bureau had on Kevin Moretti. Medical school transcripts. Exemplary. Published research on treating traumatic brain injuries. Volunteer work at free clinics. A girlfriend in college. Relationship ended amicably when he moved back to New York after his mother's death. Nothing about him screamed mobster, which meant he was either the best actor she'd ever seen, or he genuinely hadn't wanted this life. Aaliyah clicked through surveillance photos. Kevin leaving the family estate. Kevin at his father's funeral. Expression unreadable. Kevin meeting with known associates, restaurant owners, construction bosses, politicians. All legal on the surface. Her phone buzzed. "Torres, you ready for this?" She typed back, "I don't have a choice."
You always have a choice, Grant.
"But you're the only one who can get close." He's rebuilding everything. New rules. New networks. We need someone on the inside before he locks it down. Aaliyah stared at Kevin's photograph on her screen. Those eyes. Like he was analyzing everything, always 3 steps ahead. She thought about Maya asleep down the hall. About the life she'd built from nothing after Marcus left. About every scumbag she'd put behind bars to make the city safer for kids like her daughter. When do I start? The Elysium Club was the kind of place Aaliyah would never visit on her own dime. velvet ropes, champagne that cost more than her monthly rent, beautiful people pretending they weren't empty inside. She stood outside in a black dress that the department's undercover fund had purchased, heels that made her calves ache, hair down instead of pulled back in her usual practical ponytail. Her weapon was strapped to her thigh, beneath the silk. Her wire was sewn into her bra. "You look good, Grant," came Barnes's voice through the earpiece disguised as a diamond stud. "Remember, you're Emily Nash, art dealer from Boston. You're in town for a gallery opening." "Copy," she murmured, lips barely moving. She walked past the bouncer with manufactured confidence. The bass thrummed through the floor. Bodies moved on the dance floor like a single organism. Aaliyah headed straight for the bar, ordered a vodka tonic she wouldn't drink, and waited. Kevin Moretti arrived at 11:47 p.m. Aaliyah felt him before she saw him. The way the room shifted, people parting without realizing they were doing it. He moved through the crowd with his security detail hanging back, not hovering. Tailored suit. No tie. Looking relaxed despite running a criminal empire. Their eyes met across the bar. Aaliyah didn't look away, didn't smile, just held his gaze with the kind of challenge that said, "I'm not impressed." He changed direction, walked straight toward her. "You're new," Kevin said. His voice was quieter than she expected. Educated. No trace of the streets. "Observant," Aaliyah replied. "It's a small club. I notice patterns." "And I'm a disruption?" "You're something." He signaled the bartender. "What's she drinking?" "Vodka tonic." "Bring her something better." "The Japanese whiskey."
Neat.
The bartender nodded and disappeared. Kevin leaned against the bar beside her. Close, but not invasive. Aaliyah could smell his cologne. Something expensive and understated. "I'm Kevin." "Emily." "What brings you to New York, Emily?"
Art.
"There's a gallery opening tomorrow night in Chelsea." "You're an artist?" "Dealer. I find things people don't know they're looking for." Kevin smiled. It was a good smile. Genuine. The kind that made her stomach twist because she had to remind herself this man was a criminal. That his father had ordered hits. That the empire he inherited was built on suffering. "That's a useful talent," he said. The whiskey arrived. Aaliyah took a sip. It burned smooth and warmed down her throat. "What about you?" she asked. "What do you do?" "Family business." "Which is?" "Import-export. Real estate. Restaurants." He rattled it off like he'd said it 1,000 times. Like he didn't care if she believed him. "Sounds boring." "It is." Kevin turned to face her fully. "Which is why I'm standing here talking to you instead of doing literally anything else." In her ear, Barnes whispered, "Careful, Grant. Don't push too hard." But Aaliyah had been undercover before. She knew the dance. Push-pull.
Give-take.
Make them work for it. "I'm not that interesting," she said. "I disagree." Kevin's gaze didn't waver. "You walked in here alone. Ordered a drink you haven't touched. And you're the only person in this room who isn't trying to impress me." Should I be impressed? Probably not. The honesty surprised her. She studied him more carefully now, looking for the tells. The mask. But all she saw was exhaustion beneath the expensive clothes. Like he was playing a role he hadn't auditioned for. "Your family business," Aaliyah said carefully. "You inherited it recently?" Kevin's expression flickered. "My father died 3 months ago." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. We weren't close." "Then why take over?" The question hung between them. Kevin took a drink from his own glass, scotch, she noticed. He seemed to be weighing whether to answer honestly or deflect. "Because someone had to," he finally said. "And if I didn't, someone worse would have." In her ear, "Interesting. Keep him talking." "That sounds like a lot of responsibility," Aaliyah said. "It is. Do you want it?" Kevin met her eyes. "Does it matter what I want?" There was something raw in his voice. Something that made Aaliyah's professional distance waver. She shook it off. Focused. "Everyone wants something," she said. "What do you want, Emily?" "Right now?" "To finish this excellent whiskey and go home without my feet killing me." Kevin laughed. It was a real laugh, unguarded. "I can respect that. But after the whiskey?" Maybe I'll tell you at the gallery opening tomorrow. Is that an invitation? It's information. What you do with it is up to you. She finished her drink, set the glass on the bar, and walked away without looking back. She felt his eyes on her the entire way to the door. Outside, in the cool night air, she finally breathed. Good work, Grant, Torres said through the earpiece. He's hooked. Aaliyah pulled the earring out, shoved it in her purse, flagged down a cab, sat in the back seat watching the city lights blur past. She thought about Kevin's question, "Do you want it?" And her answer, "Does it matter what I want?" Maybe they weren't so different after all. That thought terrified her more than any criminal she'd ever faced. Maya's soccer game was at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Aaliyah sat on the aluminum bleachers with the other parents, cheering as her daughter ran up and down the field with more enthusiasm than coordination. The sun was bright. The grass was green. For an hour, Aaliyah wasn't a cop hunting a mobster. She was just a mom. "Go, Maya," she shouted as her daughter kicked the ball directly to the wrong team. Maya looked back, grinning despite the mistake. That smile was everything. After the game, a 4-2 loss, they went for ice cream. Maya got chocolate with rainbow sprinkles. Aaliyah got vanilla. They sat on a bench in the park, watching pigeons fight over crumbs. "Mommy, can I ask you something?" "Always, baby." "Why don't I have a daddy?" Aaliyah's spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. They'd had versions of this conversation before, but Maya was getting older. Smarter. Harder to deflect. "You do have a daddy," Aaliyah said carefully. "He just isn't part of our lives." "Why not?" "Because sometimes adults make choices that hurt. And your dad made a choice to leave before you were born." "Did I do something wrong?" Aaliyah set down her ice cream and pulled Maya close.
No.
"No, baby. You're perfect. This was never about you. Your dad just wasn't ready to be a parent. But you were ready?" "I had to be. And I'm so glad I was, because I got you." Maya considered this, eating her ice cream thoughtfully. "Do you think he ever thinks about me?" Aaliyah didn't know. Didn't care. Marcus had made his choice. "I think," Aaliyah said, "that it doesn't matter. Because you have me, and Grandma, and Mrs. Chun, and your whole soccer team. You have so many people who love you." "Yeah." Maya brightened. "I do." They finished their ice cream, walked home holding hands. Maya chattered about dinosaurs and her best friend Sophie, and a book she was reading about dragons. Normal kid things. Beautiful, normal kid things. That night, after Maya was asleep, Aaliyah got ready for the gallery opening. Different dress. Blue this time. Hair up. The same weapon. The same wire. Torres had sent over background on the gallery owner, a legitimate art dealer who occasionally moved stolen pieces for the right price. Kevin would be there. This was her chance to deepen the connection. The gallery was in Chelsea, all white walls and pretentious installations. Aaliyah moved through the crowd with a glass of wine she wouldn't drink, studying paintings she didn't understand. She was Emily Nash again. Confident. Cultured. Alone. Kevin arrived at 8:30. He spotted her immediately. Crossed the room like they were old friends. "You came," he said. "I said I might." "I'm glad you did." He looked at the painting she was studying, an abstract mess of red and black. "What do you think?" "I think it's angry. Good art should make you feel something. Even anger?" "Especially anger. It means you're alive." They moved through the gallery together. Kevin asked intelligent questions about the art. He knew the techniques, the artists, the history. This wasn't a performance. He genuinely cared. "You studied art?" Aaliyah asked. "Pre-med. I needed something that wasn't science. Something that reminded me people were more than bodies to fix." "You wanted to be a doctor." Kevin's expression shuddered. Past tense. "Why did you stop?" "Family business, remember? You said it yourself. You weren't close to your father. You could have stayed in medicine." Kevin stopped in front of a sculpture, twisted metal that looked like it was screaming. He was quiet for a long moment. "My mother died when I was in college," he said finally. "Cancer. By the time they found it, it was everywhere. I watched her waste away for 8 months. I decided then I wanted to save people like her. Became a neurosurgeon because brain tumors? I thought I could make a difference. Aaliyah felt her chest tighten. I'm sorry. My father called me home 6 months ago.
Said he needed me.
I thought he was sick too. I was ready to refuse. We'd barely spoken in years, but then he said it wasn't about him. It was about protecting what my mother built. Your mother was part of the business? She was the business. My father was muscle. But my mother, she was brilliant. Ruthless when she needed to be, but she had rules. Lines she wouldn't cross. When she died, my father stopped following those rules. And everything started falling apart. Kevin turned to face Aaliyah. He called me home to fix it. To save the parts of her legacy that mattered. So I did. In her ear, Barnes whispered, "This is gold. Keep him talking." But Aaliyah wasn't thinking about the case. She was thinking about a man who'd given up saving lives to save his mother's memory. About the weight of obligation. About choices that weren't really choices at all. That's a heavy burden, she said softly. It is. But someone has to carry it. Why you? Because I'm the only one left who remembers what she wanted. What she believed in. And what did she believe in? Kevin smiled, but it was sad. That even in the darkness, you could choose not to make things worse. That power didn't have to corrupt. That family meant protecting people, not destroying them. Did your father agree?
No.
Which is why I spent the last 3 months dismantling everything he built. Shutting down the trafficking operations. Ending the protection rackets that preyed on immigrants. Cutting ties with the drug networks. Aaliyah's pulse quickened. If this was true, if Kevin was genuinely trying to clean up the Moretti empire, it changed everything. That must have made you enemies, she said. It did. I have a dozen different organizations trying to kill me right now. But I don't care. I'm not my father. Then what are you? Kevin looked at her with those two intelligent eyes. I don't know yet. But I'm trying to find out. They stood in silence, surrounded by art and strangers and secrets. Why are you telling me this? Aaliyah asked. You just met me. Because you asked. And because. Kevin hesitated. Because you look at me like I'm a person, not a name. Not a legacy. Just me. I haven't felt that in a long time. In her ear. Grant, be careful. He's manipulating you. But was he? Aaliyah had spent 10 years reading criminals. She knew the patterns. The lies. The performances. And this didn't feel like any of those things. This felt real. Dangerous. Complicated.
Real.
I should go, she said. Can I see you again? Why? Because talking to you is the first time I felt like myself since I came back to New York. Aaliyah knew she should say no. Keep it professional. But the mission required her to get close. To build trust. To gather evidence.
Tuesday, she said.
There's a coffee shop in Brooklyn. Prospect Heights. Called Hungry Ghost. 7 a.m.? Before you start your day. How do you know I'm a morning person? You're too disciplined not to be. He wasn't wrong. Aaliyah left the gallery without saying goodbye. Walked 3 blocks before pulling out the earpiece. What the hell was that? Barnes demanded in her regular phone. He just confessed to dismantling criminal operations. We need to verify. I know. Grant, if he's telling the truth, he's still running an illegal empire. Those clean businesses? They're still money laundering. Still racketeering. I know. Then why do you sound conflicted? Because Kevin Moretti had looked at her like she was real too. Like she wasn't just Emily Nash, fake art dealer. Like he saw something true underneath.
And she'd wanted him to.
I'm not conflicted, Aaliyah lied. I'm doing my job. She hung up, caught a cab home, checked on Maya, asleep, safe, perfect. Then sat in her kitchen with a glass of water and Kevin Moretti's file. She read every page again, looking for the truth, the lie, the angle. But all she kept seeing was his face when he talked about his mother. The exhaustion in his eyes. The weight of carrying a legacy he never wanted. Does it matter what I want? Aaliyah closed the file. She had 4 days until Tuesday. For days to remember she was a cop, and he was the target. For days to forget the way her pulse had quickened when he smiled. She was in trouble. And she knew it. The hungry ghost was crowded at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Aaliyah arrived first, ordered a black coffee, and claimed a table in the back corner where she could watch the door. She wore jeans and a sweater, civilian clothes, no wire this time. Torres had argued for surveillance, but she'd convinced him this needed to feel organic. Truth was, she needed space to think without Barnes in her ear. Kevin walked in at 7:03. He spotted her immediately, navigated through the crowd with 2 cups in hand. "I took a guess," he said, setting a latte in front of her. "Oat milk, 1 sugar." "How did you?" "You said you're a morning person. Morning people either drink coffee black or they're specific about their caffeine. You don't strike me as a black coffee type." He wasn't wrong. Aaliyah took a sip.
Perfect.
"That's unsettling," she said. "Paying attention?" "Profiling." Kevin laughed.
Fair.
"I spent years studying people's brains." "Habit." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. The morning light streamed through the windows, turning the coffee shop golden. Outside, Brooklyn was waking up. Dog walkers. Commuters. Normal people living normal lives. "Tell me about you," Kevin said. "I talked your ear off at the gallery. Your turn." Aaliyah had her cover story memorized. Emily Nash. Only child. Parents retired in Florida. Degree from Pratt. 10 years in the art world. But sitting across from Kevin, the lies felt heavier than usual. "What do you want to know?" "Anything real?" The request caught her off guard. "Real?" "Everyone performs. Especially in New York. But you don't seem like you perform. So tell me something true." Aaliyah sipped her latte, buying time. She couldn't tell him the truth, that she was a single mom, a cop, that she was investigating him. But she could give him something honest. Something that mattered. "I have a daughter," she said. Kevin's eyebrows rose. "You're married?" "Divorced. He left before she was born." "I'm sorry." "Don't be." "Best thing that ever happened to me." "She's 7. Obsessed with dinosaurs. Convinced I'm a superhero." "Are you?" Aaliyah smiled. "I try to be. For her." "What's her name?" "Maya." "That's beautiful." They talked for an hour. About Maya's soccer games. About Kevin's work dismantling his father's empire. He was surprisingly forthcoming, either because he trusted her or because he was testing her. About art and medicine, and the weird overlap between the two. About loss and obligation, and trying to be better than your circumstances. "Do you ever regret it?" Aaliyah asked. "Giving up medicine?" Kevin was quiet. "Every day. But regret doesn't change anything. I made a choice. Now I have to live with it. You could go back." "Not until I fix what my father broke. And that might take years. Decades. Maybe never." "That's a prison sentence." "Isn't all responsibility?" Aaliyah thought about Maya. About sleepless nights and school lunches and scraped knees. About choosing this job knowing it meant missing bedtimes and birthday parties. About Marcus leaving and her deciding to do it alone because her daughter deserved better than a father who didn't want to try. "Yeah," she said softly. "I guess it is." Kevin reached across the table. Stopped just short of touching her hand. "Can I ask you something personal?" "You just did." He smiled.
Fair.
"But seriously, why are you having coffee with me? You're smart. Beautiful. You have a daughter to protect. I'm the heir to a crime family. This doesn't make sense." Aaliyah's pulse quickened. This was the moment. The test. "Maybe I'm curious," she said. "About what?" "About whether you're as dangerous as you seem. Or as decent as you're pretending to be." "And what's your verdict?" "I don't know yet. That's why I'm still here." Kevin leaned back, studying her. "You're not afraid of me." "Should I be?" "Most people are." "I'm not most people."
No.
"You're not." They held each other's gaze. The coffee shop buzzed around them, conversations, espresso machines, footsteps. But in their corner, everything was still. Kevin's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. "I have to go." Meeting in 20 minutes. Family business? Unfortunately. He stood, hesitated, then pulled out his wallet. Left a 50 on the table. Way too much for 2 coffees.
For the tip, he said.
And for trusting me enough to tell me about your daughter. He walked out before Aaliyah could respond. She sat alone, staring at the $50 bill, her untouched latte, the door he'd disappeared through. Her phone buzzed. Torres.
Report?
She should tell him about Kevin's admissions. The businesses he was closing. The enemies he was making. Every word that could be used as evidence. Instead, she typed, building trust. Need more time. Torres responded immediately. Don't get too close, Grant. Remember what he is. Aaliyah looked at the $50 bill again. Thought about Kevin's question. What's your verdict?
She didn't know.
And that scared her more than any criminal ever had. 3 weeks passed in a blur of coffee dates and gallery visits and late-night conversations on benches overlooking the East River. Kevin fit into the spaces between Aaliyah's real life with unsettling ease. He never pushed for more than she offered. Never asked about her work. Never tried to cross lines she didn't draw. But the lines were blurring. Mom, you're smiling at your phone again, Maya said one morning over breakfast. Aaliyah looked up. What? You do it all the time now. When you text. Maya spooned cereal into her mouth, grinning. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
But you're texting someone. A friend. A boyfriend. Aaliyah sighed. Eat your breakfast. But Maya was right. Kevin had become something. Not a target anymore. Not just a mission. When he texted her pictures of art installations he thought she'd like, she smiled. When he sent her articles about new neurosurgery breakthroughs he'd never get to practice, her chest ached. When he called late at night, voice rough with exhaustion, and asked about her day, she told him the truth. Almost. She told him about Maya's school play, about bad coffee at work, the art gallery she was supposedly consulting for, about her mother's birthday coming up and not knowing what to get her. She didn't tell him she was a cop, that she'd been investigating him for 2 months, that every conversation was being analyzed by her team. Barnes confronted her after a briefing. You're compromised. I'm not. You refused to wear a wire to your last 3 meetings. He's getting suspicious. I had to build trust. By actually trusting him? Barnes stepped closer. This guy is a criminal, Grant. His father ordered 17 hits. His organization launders millions. And you're having coffee with him like he's a normal guy. He might be cleaning it up, or he's smart enough to feed you exactly what you want to hear. Barnes's expression softened. Look, I get it.
He's charming.
He's attractive. He makes you feel seen. But that's the game. Don't confuse the performance for reality. Aaliyah wanted to argue, but she couldn't because Barnes was right. She was compromised. She just didn't know how to stop. The turning point came on a Thursday. Kevin texted, Can you meet me tonight? Something I need to show you. Aaliyah should have said no. Should have brought backup. Instead, she texted Maya's babysitter, kissed her daughter goodnight, and met Kevin at an address in Queens. It was a warehouse.
Empty. Dark.
Every cop instinct Aaliyah had screamed trap. She kept her hand near her concealed weapon as Kevin unlocked the door. Trust me, he said softly. Inside, the warehouse had been transformed. Medical equipment, exam tables, waiting room chairs, a small pharmacy. Everything clean and organized and clearly functional. What is this? Aaliyah asked. A clinic. For people who can't afford health care or can't risk going to a hospital. Undocumented immigrants. Sex workers. People running from abusive situations. My mother started it 20 years ago. My father shut it down when she died. Kevin walked through the space, running his hand along the equipment. I reopened it last week. Found the old doctors who used to volunteer. Convinced them to come back. Why? Because this is what my mother believed in. Using our resources to help people the system forgot. He turned to face her. I can't bring her back. Can't fix what my father destroyed. But I can honor what she built. Aaliyah looked around the clinic. At the stocked shelves. The examination rooms. The children's books in the waiting area. This wasn't a front. This was real. Kevin, I know what you're thinking. That this doesn't absolve anything. That I'm still running illegal operations.
And you're right.
But I'm trying to do better. To be better. He stepped closer. They were alone in the clinic, surrounded by the evidence of good intentions in a life built on bad ones. Why are you showing me this? Aaliyah whispered. Because I trust you. Because I. Kevin paused. Because I want you to know I'm trying. For your mother? For myself. The space between them felt charged. Aaliyah knew she should step back. Maintain distance. Remember the mission. But then Kevin reached up, slowly, giving her time to pull away. His hand cupped her cheek.
Tell me to stop, he said.
She should. She absolutely should. Instead, she kissed him. It was soft at first. Tentative. Like they were both afraid of what it meant. Then deeper. Urgent. Months of tension and lies and truth tangled together. When they broke apart, Aaliyah's heart was hammering. I can't, she started. I know. This is complicated. I know. I should go. But she didn't. They stood there in the half-light of the clinic, foreheads touching, breathing each other's air. I don't even know your real name, Kevin whispered. Aaliyah's blood turned cold. What? Emily Nash doesn't exist. I checked. No art dealer by that name. No gallery consultations. Nothing. She stepped back, hand moving toward her weapon. Kevin, I don't care who you really are, or why you lied. He ran a hand through his hair. I just need to know if this is real, what's between us, or if I'm just another target. Aaliyah's mind raced. He knew. He'd known, maybe from the beginning. And he'd let her keep lying because why? To see what she'd do? To gather his own intel? You're right, she said carefully. I lied about who I am. Are you a cop? The question hung between them. Every rule said lie. Maintain cover. Protect the operation. But Aaliyah was so tired of lying.
To him.
To herself. Yes, she whispered. Kevin didn't move. Didn't react. Just absorbed the information like he was analyzing a complex surgery. How long have you been investigating me? 3 months. And this? He gestured between them. The coffee. The conversations. This. Started as the job. Aaliyah's voice cracked. I don't know what it is now. Kevin was quiet. Then he laughed. A bitter, broken sound. I should have known. Smart, beautiful woman interested in me? Of course it was too good to be true. Kevin, you have a daughter. Is that even real? Or was that just part of the cover? Maya is real. She's the realest thing in my life. And me? What am I? Aaliyah didn't have an answer. Kevin nodded slowly. You should arrest me.
Or shoot me.
Whatever cops do. I'm not going to. Why not? You have everything you need. Confession. Evidence. I just showed you a clinic that proves I'm still running illegal operations. So, do your job. But Aaliyah couldn't move. Couldn't reach for her cuffs or her weapon or her phone. Because Kevin was right. She'd stopped seeing him as the target weeks ago. I can't, she whispered. Why not? Because she stopped.
Couldn't say it.
Couldn't admit what had happened. Kevin closed his eyes. You should go. Kevin.
Please.
Just go. Aaliyah backed toward the door. Her hand was shaking. I'm sorry. Me too. She left him standing alone in the clinic. Drove home in a fog. Checked on Maya. Asleep, safe, perfect. Then sat in her kitchen in the dark, phone in her hand. She should call Torres. Report everything. Kevin knew her cover was blown. He'd confessed to running illegal operations. The clinic could be evidence. She had enough for an arrest. But instead, she opened her messages. Kevin had texted. I meant what I said. I don't care who you are. I just wish you'd trusted me enough to tell me the truth. Then I won't run. When you're ready to do your job, you know where to find me. Aaliyah stared at the messages until they blurred. She'd crossed the line.
And she didn't know how to get back.
Aaliyah didn't sleep. She sat at her kitchen table until sunrise, then made Maya breakfast like everything was normal, braided her daughter's hair, packed her lunch, walked her to school. "Mom, are you okay?" Maya asked at the crosswalk. "Why do you ask?" "You're quiet." Aaliyah forced a smile. "Just thinking about work." "Are you catching bad guys? Or falling in love with one?" "Something like that." After drop-off, Aaliyah went straight to the precinct. Torres was waiting in his office, arms crossed. "Sit down, Grant." She sat. "Barnes says you've been distant. Missing check-ins. Refusing surveillance." Torres leaned forward. "What's going on?" Aaliyah could lie. Should lie. But she was exhausted from lying. "I think Kevin Moretti is trying to go legitimate." "Based on what evidence?" "He's shut down trafficking operations. Ended protection rackets. He's reopening community clinics his mother started." "He told you all this?" "Yes." "And you believe him?" Aaliyah hesitated. "I think he's trying." Torres was quiet for a long moment. "You're sleeping with him?" "No. But you want to." Aaliyah didn't answer.
Couldn't.
Torres sighed, suddenly looking older. "I'm pulling you from the operation. Captain. You're compromised. It happens. No shame in it. But I can't have you in the field if you can't maintain objectivity." "I can finish this."
How?
"Kevin knows you're a cop. Your cover's blown. What's your play?" Aaliyah's hands clenched in her lap. "He said he won't run. That I know where to find him when I'm ready to do my job." "So arrest him." "For what? Running legitimate businesses? Operating a free clinic?" "The money behind those businesses is dirty, Grant. That's money laundering, racketeering. We can build a case. Based on his father's crimes. Not his. He inherited the organization. That makes him complicit."
Torres was right.
Legally, Kevin was guilty. Even if he was dismantling everything, even if he was trying to rebuild clean, he was still running an empire built on blood. But the law didn't account for context, for people trying to be better, for the weight of legacies you never chose. "Give me 2 weeks," Aaliyah said. "For what?" "To document everything he's changing. If he's really going legitimate, we should know. If he's playing me, I'll bring you evidence." Torres studied her. 2 weeks. "Then I'm sending Barnes in to finish it." Aaliyah nodded, stood to leave. "Grant." She turned. "Be careful. Men like Kevin Moretti, they're dangerous precisely because they make you believe they can change. But blood runs deep. Don't forget that." Aaliyah didn't text Kevin. Didn't call. Spent 3 days analyzing financial records, tracking business transactions, mapping the Moretti empire's new structure. Kevin had been telling the truth. Over 6 months, he'd systematically dismantled every illegal operation, sold off properties tied to trafficking, cut ties with drug suppliers, closed gambling dens. The legitimate businesses, restaurants, construction, real estate, were still operating, but the dirty money was being washed clean.
Slowly. Carefully.
It wasn't enough to save him legally, but it was enough to prove he was trying. On the 4th day, Maya asked, "Is your friend okay? The one you've been texting?" "Why?" "Because you stopped smiling at your phone." Aaliyah pulled her daughter close. "I made a mistake with my friend. Did you apologize?" "It's complicated. Mom, you always tell me that when I hurt someone, I should say sorry, even if it's hard." 7 years old and wiser than Aaliyah would ever be. That night, after Maya was asleep, Aaliyah drove to Kevin's penthouse. The security guard recognized her. Kevin must have told them to let her through. The elevator ride to the top floor felt endless. Kevin answered the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking exhausted. "Aaliyah," he said softly. Her real name. He'd figured it out. "How did you know?" "Detective Aaliyah Grant. 10-year veteran. Decorated officer. Single mother. I hired someone to look into Emily Nash, and they found you instead." He stepped aside. "Come in." The penthouse was minimalist. Clean lines. Expensive furniture. No personal touches except for a framed photo on the side table, a woman with Kevin's eyes. His mother. "I'm sorry I lied," Aaliyah said. "You were doing your job." It stopped being just the job. Kevin turned to face her. When? The coffee shop. When you guessed my latte order. When you asked me to tell you something real, and I told you about Maya. Why did you tell me? Because you made me want to. Because for the first time since Marcus left, someone looked at me like I was more than just a cop or just a mom. Like I was myself. Kevin stepped closer. What are we doing, Aaliyah? I don't know. I'm still a criminal. By law, I'm guilty of everything my father did. And you're a cop. This can't work. I know, but I don't want you to leave. I know. They stood in the silence of impossible things. My captain gave me 2 weeks, Aaliyah said, to document your operations. Prove you're going legitimate or prove you're not. And then I have to decide. Arrest you or walk away from everything I've built. Kevin touched her face, the same way he had in the clinic. I would never ask you to choose me over your daughter. Over your life. You're not asking. I'm choosing. Aaliyah. She kissed him.
Not soft this time. Desperate.
Like they were drowning, and this was air. When they broke apart, Kevin rested his forehead against hers. I love you. I know. That doesn't fix anything. I know. But for one night, in a penthouse overlooking the city, they pretended it could. They talked until dawn about impossible futures. About Maya meeting him. She'd love you, Aaliyah said. You'd teach her about dinosaurs. About the clinic expanding. About Kevin maybe someday going back to medicine. About a world where they weren't cop and criminal. Just two people trying to be better than their circumstances. When Aaliyah left at sunrise, Kevin walked her to the door. 2 weeks, he said. 2 weeks. And then, I don't know.
But she was starting to.
The next 13 days were a blur. Aaliyah documented everything. Kevin's financial restructuring, the businesses he'd closed, the ones he'd legitimized, the clinic's operations, the community programs he'd funded. She built a case not for prosecution, but for transformation. She also spent every spare moment with him. They were careful, met in out-of-the-way places, never posted anything online. But Aaliyah introduced Kevin to Maya as a friend, not a boyfriend. He brought her a book about dinosaurs, listened to her chatter about school, made her laugh. Maya pulled Aaliyah aside. I like him, Mom. Yeah, he's nice. And he looks at you like you're special. How do I look at him? Maya grinned. The same way. On day 12, Torres called Aaliyah into his office. Time's up, Grant. What have you got? She presented her findings. Kevin's systematic dismantling of illegal operations. The clean businesses. The clinic. The community investment. Torres listened without interrupting. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair. This is impressive work. But it doesn't change the fundamental facts. Kevin Moretti inherited a criminal empire. The money behind his legitimate businesses is dirty. We can prosecute for what his father did, not what he's doing. That's not how RICO works. He's the head of a criminal organization. We take him down, we take down the whole network. Or we work with him, use his resources to help the communities his father hurt. Let him finish cleaning up. That's not our job, Grant. Our job is justice. Is it justice to punish someone for trying to be better? Torres stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. I've been a cop for 30 years. And I've learned that people don't change. Not really. Kevin Moretti might think he's different from his father, but blood runs deep. Give him time and he'll revert. You don't know that. Neither do you. Torres turned. I'm issuing the warrant. We arrest Kevin Moretti tomorrow morning. Aaliyah's world tilted. Captain, this is my decision, not yours. You're off the case as of now. I deserve to be there. I built this case. Which is exactly why you can't be there. You're too close. Torres's expression softened. Go home, Grant. Be with your daughter. Let Barnes handle the arrest. Aaliyah wanted to argue, to fight, but she knew it was over. She left the precinct in a daze, drove to Maya's school, picked her up early.
Mom?
What's wrong? Nothing, baby. I just wanted to spend the afternoon with you. They went to the park, played on the swings, got ice cream. Normal things. Beautiful things. Aaliyah's phone buzzed.
Kevin, can we talk?
She waited until Maya was distracted by a squirrel, then called him. They're arresting you tomorrow, she said without preamble. Kevin was quiet. Okay. Okay? That's it. What did you expect? I told you I wouldn't run. Kevin, you could disappear. You have resources. And spend my life looking over my shoulder? Never seeing you or Maya again.
No.
I'm done running from who my father was. I'll face this. You could go to prison for decades. I know, but at least I'll go knowing I tried to be better. That counts for something. Aaliyah's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. You gave me something my father never had. A reason to want to change. Kevin's voice softened. Thank you for that. I love you. I know. They stayed on the phone, not talking, just breathing together until Maya ran back over. Mom, who are you talking to? Aaliyah looked at her daughter, 7 years old, bright-eyed, believing her mother was a superhero. Someone I care about, she said. That night, after Maya was asleep, Aaliyah sat at her kitchen table with 2 folders. One contained her resignation letter. Drafted weeks ago, never submitted. It was thorough, professional, outlined her reasons for leaving the force, loss of objectivity, personal conflict, the need to prioritize her daughter. The other contained the warrant for Kevin's arrest. Torres had sent it over. 6 a.m. raid on the penthouse. Full tactical team. No chances. Aaliyah looked at both documents. She'd spent 10 years building her career. 10 years putting away criminals, making the city safer, being the person her daughter could look up to. If she walked away now, all of that would be questioned. Her record, her judgment, her legacy. But if she stayed, if she let them arrest Kevin without trying to fight for him, she'd lose the person she'd become in the last few months. The one who believed people could change. Who saw complexity instead of just black and white. Her phone buzzed. Kevin again. Whatever you decide, I understand. You have Maya to think about. Put her first. Always. Aaliyah closed her eyes. Then she picked up her pen. The next morning, Aaliyah wasn't at the arrest. She was in Captain Torres's office, resignation letter on his desk. Torres read it slowly. You're sure about this? I am. This is about Kevin Moretti. This is about me. About the kind of cop I want to be. The kind of person I want my daughter to see. Torres was quiet for a long moment. You're throwing away a brilliant career. I'm making a choice. Same as Kevin did. He's going to prison, Grant. Maybe. Or maybe the judge will see what I saw. Someone trying to make amends. Either way, I can't be the one who puts him there. Torres accepted the resignation. What will you do? I don't know yet. Figure it out as I go. Aaliyah cleaned out her desk. Said goodbye to Barnes, who looked at her like she'd lost her mind. Turned in her badge and weapon. Walked out of the precinct a civilian. She drove straight to the courthouse. Kevin's arraignment was at 2 p.m. She sat in the back row, watching him stand before the judge in an expensive suit, hands cuffed, expression calm. The charges were read. Racketeering. Money laundering. Conspiracy. Kevin pled not guilty. His lawyer, someone expensive and competent, argued for bail. Presented evidence of Kevin's community ties. The clinic. The legitimate businesses. The systematic dismantling of criminal operations. The prosecutor, Barnes, Aaliyah realized with a sting, argued Kevin was a flight risk. Head of a criminal organization. International connections. The judge set bail at $5 million. Kevin's lawyer posted it within an hour. Aaliyah waited outside the courthouse. Watched Kevin emerge, no longer cuffed, surrounded by security. He saw her.
Stopped. You quit, he said.
Not a question. I quit. For me? For myself. I couldn't be the cop who arrested someone for trying to be better. That's not justice. That's just punishment. Kevin stepped closer. What now? I don't know.
I need to find a new job.
Something that lets me be home for Maya. Something that doesn't make me compromise who I am. The clinic needs an administrator. Someone to handle operations. Make sure we're actually helping people instead of just performing charity. Aaliyah stared at him. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a purpose. Same thing you gave me. Kevin, you're facing serious charges. Which is why I need someone I trust running the clinic. Someone who won't let it become another front. Someone who actually cares about the people we're supposed to help. Aaliyah thought about Maya. About the example she wanted to set. About justice versus punishment. About people who tried to be better. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. The trial took 8 months. In that time, Aaliyah worked at the clinic. Started as a volunteer, then became the official administrator when Kevin's lawyer helped her navigate the legal complexities. She made sure every dollar was tracked. Every patient was documented. Every operation was transparent. She also watched Kevin fight for his freedom. His legal team built a defense around his transformation. Brought in the clinic patients who testified about receiving care they couldn't afford elsewhere. The small business owners who'd been released from protection rackets. The women who'd been freed from trafficking operations Kevin had shut down. The prosecution brought his father's victims. The families destroyed by Moretti crimes. The communities torn apart by violence and drugs and corruption. Both sides were true. Aaliyah sat in the courtroom every day, Maya beside her during summer vacation. Is Kevin a bad guy? Her daughter asked during a recess. He did bad things, Aaliyah said carefully. But he's trying to do good things now. Sometimes people are complicated. Will they put him in jail? I don't know, baby. The verdict came in September. Guilty on 3 counts of money laundering. Not guilty on racketeering and conspiracy. The judge sentenced Kevin to 5 years, eligible for parole in 3, considering his efforts at restitution and the community programs he'd established. Aaliyah sat in the courtroom, holding Maya's hand, watching Kevin accept the sentence with quiet dignity. Before they took him away, he looked back at her. Mouthed, I love you. She mouthed back, I know. The clinic had expanded. 3 locations now, serving over 1,000 patients a month. Aaliyah ran all of them with ruthless efficiency, making sure Kevin's vision, his mother's vision, was honored. Maya was 10, still obsessed with dinosaurs. Still convinced her mother was a superhero. And she was right. Aaliyah had found her purpose. Not in arresting criminals, but in helping the people the system forgot. In proving that transformation was possible. That justice could mean more than punishment. She visited Kevin every month. Watched him read medical journals in the prison library. Teach other inmates about neuroscience. Talk about the clinic expansion like he was still running it. 3 more months, he said during their last visit. Parole hearing. Are you nervous? Terrified. What if they say no? Then we wait. And we keep doing the work. Kevin smiled.
We.
I like that. Don't get too excited. I'm not waiting forever. I know. But 3 months? I can do 3 months.
He did.
The parole board cited his exemplary behavior, his contributions to prison education programs, and the community impact of the clinics he'd established. Released him on parole with strict conditions, no contact with former associates, regular check-ins, continued community service. Kevin moved into a modest apartment in Brooklyn. Got a job at the clinic, not running it but working as a medical consultant helping train volunteers. He couldn't practice medicine legally with his record, but he could teach. He met Maya officially. Not as Mom's friend, but as Mom's boyfriend. Maya interrogated him. Do you like dinosaurs? I do now. What's your favorite? Therizinosaurus. Because it evolved from meat eaters, but became herbivorous. Sometimes who you become is more important than where you came from. Maya beamed. He's smart, Mom. I know, baby. 6 months after his release, Kevin and Aaliyah were having coffee, the same coffee shop where they'd first talked 3.5 years ago. Do you regret it?
Kevin asked.
Giving up being a cop?
No.
I found something better. What's that? Being the person my daughter deserves. The person I want to be. Aaliyah reached across the table, took his hand. Being with you. Even though I'm an ex-convict with a criminal record and limited job prospects. Even though. Kevin smiled. What did I do to deserve you? You tried to be better. That's all anyone can do. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Brooklyn wake up around them. Normal people living normal lives. And for the first time in years, Aaliyah felt like she was one of them. Not a cop. Not an undercover agent. Not someone performing a role. Just herself. With someone who'd fought to become himself too. I love you, Kevin said. I know, Aaliyah replied. And this time, when she said it back, there were no lies between them. Just truth. Complicated, messy, beautiful truth. Every story here has pain, love, and truth. If this one stayed with you, subscribe for more. Drop a comment. I read them all. Like and share to keep these stories reaching the right hearts.